My name is Michael Bryden, and you're watching Celebrating Sports with me. Today, I'm delighted to be joined by Women and Girls Development Officer for Sussex Cricket, Charlotte Burton. Hi, Charlotte. How are you?
Hello, I'm good, thank you. Thanks for having me on.
That's okay. So you've had a wonderful, varied and productive career with Sussex Cricket. Obviously, your current role is Development Officer for Women and Girls, but you're also a player and also head coach for women's Sussex Cricket.
Well, I was a former player. I gave up 10 years ago and I was head coach, but also left that role 5 years ago.
Yeah. So what got you interested first and foremost into cricket?
I've got a dad who was very heavily involved in sport. And then I've got 3 older brothers. So it was actually football was my first love. So it was like kicking a ball in the garden against the wall, and then cricket. My oldest brother played, and my other brother, 2 other brothers slightly played, but not as much. And it was usually I was the one having to bowl at my brother in the garden. So yeah, and my dad was heavily involved in Shoreham Cricket Club as well as Ada Athletic Football. So I got involved both in football and the cricket side. And football was my sort of sport at the time, but then I had a serious knee injury when I was about 12, so I couldn't play football anymore. So I carried on with my cricket, and yeah, I was involved from about 6 years old. I got involved with Shoreham Cricket Club, played for the boys team. And then I think it was when I was about 10, I got selected for the Sussex Girls Under-11 side, and then joined Brighton and Hove Women at the age of 12. So that was my cricket journey.
Wow, absolutely brilliant. So yeah, I mean, I've done a bit of research, and as a player, you're a bowler, yeah?
Yes.
Yes. So
very much a bowler, and send you in last minute batter to hitter, but yeah, more of a bowler and a fielder.
So fast bowler, medium pace.
I started out as a fast bowler, and then obviously due to my knee injury, I had to slightly change. So I then changed to an off-spin bowler for many years. And then towards the end of my career, because we had quite a lot of spinners, I went back to sort of bowling very slow, away swing, shall we say.
Right, yeah. Was that an easy transition to go from fast to more slower bowling, or?
A little bit. It was quite hard. I was quite lucky that I had some one-to-one coaching with Keith Greenfield, who's the director of cricket at Sussex. So when I was younger, obviously he was spin bowler, so I was lucky to get some one-to-ones there. So it wasn't too much of an issue.
Sure. So when you were there, you were, sorry, I'm just having a look. You won quite a few titles as a player and as a coach. How different was playing back then to women's cricket now? What are the big changes that have happened?
Yeah, it was massive changes. So back when I first started, I got selected for the senior women's Sussex team when I was 12. And we used to do 5 days away at Cambridge. So that was the women's cricket. So 5 days of 50 over cricket. So we stayed in Cambridge, played in our league group. And that carried on for many years until they slightly changed it. Must have been about, so we won the first title in 2003, which we were still at Cambridge. And I think that was the same in 2004 and 2005. So I think it was around 2006, 2007, they slightly changed it, where you played the first half, either home and away fixtures, and then we had 3 days away at Taunton. We played the remaining fixtures. And then it changed again to home and away. But back then, 50 overs of cricket. And then in 2004 and 2005, we actually had 6 days because we won the championship. We then played either South Africa in 1 year and New Zealand, who were touring on the 6th day. So you can imagine 60 overs bowling and 6 days of cricket is quite tiring. So I don't know how people do it now when they say just 1 day of cricket is quite tiring. Just going back then, we managed to do it without hardly any injuries, to be fair.
Absolutely, yeah, incredible. And so was there quite a lot of interest media-wise back then, or no?
No, we had to do a lot of our own media. So through the Sussex Women's Cricket Association back then, who looked after the county setup, they did a lot of work with the local papers, tried to make sure that they kept up to date with what was going on. And we were lucky with our local newspapers to have some interest. I think the only time back then when there was some sort of national headlines was we used to play at Rodine School, which is literally on the seafront. And there's a main road literally just as you go, the playing field is. And one time, because my dad was manager at the time, when we were younger, there's a rule that if you hit a six straight over the fence onto the road, it's six and out. And I think it was Kent we were playing at a junior age group, and there was uproar about it, and it made the Times newspaper. So I think that was the only real big headline we had.
So when was the big changes really that started happening? When did media sort of get into women's cricket?
I think it was more towards the end of my playing career. So you're looking at around 2008, 2010. I think it maybe just slightly before, because I think the England women, it was 2008, they won the T20 and the World Cup, so they won the double. And I think that really got the media obviously interested and more involved, and it was getting a bit more on TV. So I think around about that time it changed, and obviously with Claire Connor coming into her role as head of England women at the time, she did a lot of work to get women's cricket out there a bit more into the media, and obviously started making it professional, which obviously it is now. So without her and all the work she did, I don't reckon we'd be in the position we are now.
Absolutely, yeah. Excellent. So while you were playing, you got your coaching badges. Was that always your intention from a young age to do so and to go into coaching?
Not really. I lack a lot of confidence, still do. And it was just at the age of 16, I got my level 1 course, and then at the age of 18, I got my level 2. But it was not something I thought about doing as a job, because like I said, I lacked confidence. I didn't believe in my own ability. And it wasn't until probably a few years later when I went to South Africa with Claire Connor. We did some work with Charlton Athletic Football Club and British Airways, where we went into one of the townships in Johannesburg for a week and did some coaching with the kids. And I think that is where I say it sort of changed my whole aspect, and wanting to get involved in cricket coaching, had a bit more confidence. And then I was very lucky, just over 16 years ago, that a job came up at Sussex as development officer on women and girls sides. But I'd been involved in coaching the county before that. So when I was 16, I started to get involved. So I've been doing that for over 24 years now, coaching the county girls squads.
Brilliant, brilliant. Well, and again, as a coach, you've had, I think you've got won the county championship 2013, and then T20 NatWest in 2015.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
So looking back, what moments do you remember the most as you're playing and coaching career?
Yeah, I think for me, the highlight was the 2003, our first ever championship win. One, because that was over 5 days at Cambridge, but also it was our first win. It was the same year the men won as well. So a lot of good memories. And I remember we went to Buckingham Palace with the men to meet Fitzphilip, to get our trophy from him, which was amazing. So that was a great experience. I think 2003 was always my highlight, but also I love being with a team. So obviously playing with your teammates, made a load of friends over the years through playing cricket. So that's always a highlight of a player. As a coach, for me, it was in working with the senior team, it was that highlight of the 2013 championship win and the T20, just seeing how the girls developed, improved, and just that commitment from them, and just putting everything into it, and how they did all the work. As a coach, yes, you're there to obviously support and guide them and train them, but actually they're the ones doing hard work. And I think you get a lot out of that, seeing the joy that they get from winning the championship and the T20. So that was really a highlight for me in terms of coaching the senior side.
Brilliant. So you went into coaching, and then you say the role came up as development officer for Women and Girls Development Officer, sorry. Again, was that something that you thought of before the role came up, that you wanted to stay in cricket for, you know, for the whole of your career, or?
I think it was. I've done a bit of work in like the food industry and that beforehand. So I think when the job came up, it was something. Obviously, I loved coaching. I loved giving girls an opportunity of something that I never had, especially at school level and at club level. So it was a great opportunity for. I felt like it was me giving back to a sport that's helped me, especially in Sussex. They've been absolutely brilliant throughout my whole career, not just as a player, but as a coach. So it's a way for me to give back, to try and hopefully get more women and girls playing cricket. So yeah, it's hopefully a long career ahead still.
Absolutely, yeah, definitely. So tell me explain the role, your current role at the moment. What sort of things are you doing to develop the girls and women's game?
Yeah, so my role involves working with the schools, the community, all local cricket clubs as well, with women and girls section, and to try and obviously encourage girls to take up cricket, going into schools doing coaching sessions. We're very lucky in Sussex that we have a number of projects running. So over the last 5 years, we've had the Aldridge Foundation Girls Programme, which works with primary schools in Brighton and Portslade, as well as within the community by providing some hub coaching and working with the local cricket clubs. And it's also a way of encouraging girls to go towards Brighton Aldridge Community Academy, who have their school, but they also have the junior cricket pathway. And it's a state school, so it's the only state school that has where you can get an education and cricket like as in a private school. So it's encouraging those girls to say, look, cricket now, you can be professional, but you can also go to get your education and continue to play cricket through the cricket pathway. So we're very lucky to have that project. We've also got a new project this year from the Tackling Inequalities funding from Active Sussex, where we're working with the Crawley area. So Crawley is one of our biggest areas, most diverse areas, but at the moment there's no women and girls cricket happening. So we want to make sure that's happening this year. So we're working with 3 cricket clubs to develop their women and girls sections, providing women's softball festivals. We're going to work with 2 mosques as well to deliver cricket to women there, and also get cricket out to the community a bit more in those areas. And then it's also just working with the cricket clubs to make sure they're sustainable with their women and girls section, and giving them as many opportunities to play either hardball, softball, competitive, fun, social cricket, whatever they want. They've got a choice out there.
Excellent. Yeah, that's brilliant. So yeah, tell me a bit more about was it the Aldridge Foundation you're saying?
Yeah.
So when was that all set up, and when did they start?
So that was set up about 5 years ago. So Rod Aldridge, who is actually the president at the moment of Sussex Cricket, he was from Brighton, and he's very much into his sport, especially cricket. And obviously he has a number of schools across the country, with 2, Brighton Aldridge and Portslade Aldridge. And then also there is the Aldridge Cricket Academy, which is based out at Brighton Aldridge Community College. And they have their own indoor school, an indoor centre, and they now have the junior pathway, so they can give cricket to children, boys and girls, from year 7 up to year 13. And they are massive supporters of us, and they gave the Sussex Cricket Foundation give us some funding each year to deliver a girls programme. So like I say, that's working with the primary schools in the area of Brighton and Portslade, and now we're branching out a bit more to Lewes and Southwick. Also provide some community hubs which are free for girls. So especially in the Brighton area, where it's the more deprived areas, so where girls don't usually get the opportunity to play cricket because it's quite expensive. And working with the 2 secondary schools to deliver cricket there, as well as providing some competitions, holiday camps at the school.
Brilliant, fantastic. So how challenging has this last year been for you? Well, for cricket in general, but for Sussex Cricket and yourself?
Yeah, I think it's been challenging for everyone. Not being able to go into schools when we wanted to because of lockdowns keep happening. But there is an end in sight, so hopefully we can get back in after Easter, which we've got lots planned. so that's quite good. But Sussex Cricket have been brilliant. They set out plans and everything like that, so they've been really good, and they know areas that we need to obviously get into schools and things like that. But yeah, it's been a difficult year, but I think in terms of how it's affected cricket, I don't think it's affected cricket as much. Looking at the entries from our competitions and our leagues, they've actually gone up, especially the girls. So it's really encouraging. I think with cricket being an outdoor sport and probably one of the first to be brought back last year, I think it's maybe helped people and encouraged them to think, okay, I can get involved in cricket. It's an outdoor sport and get a bit more active. So I think actually, fingers crossed, things looking up with the numbers going to be taking part this year.
Excellent, good. And what would you say to any young girls and women out there who want to get involved?
Give it a go. There's plenty of opportunities. I think people think that cricket you've got to play with a hard ball straight away, so I think that sometimes puts people off. But there's so many opportunities to actually just get involved in softball. So we've got a women's softball festival run by our women's softball lead, Lara Johnson, and then we've got some girls softball festivals happening across the county throughout the summer. There's lots of cricket clubs who are doing softball, hardball. It's a great opportunity to meet new people, get active, especially in the current climate, and also just having some fun. I think cricket is such a great team sport, and you can have so much fun and meet loads of new people who actually become your friends.
And we all need fun at the moment with the pandemic over the last year, definitely. So I want to go on to talk about mental health, and Sussex Cricket has got an amazing mental health hub, which I've checked out and seen quite a lot of videos about. How did that all come about? How did that start?
Yeah, so that came about through Sir Rod Aldridge, our president of Sussex Cricket, and Sussex Cricket Foundation and Frog Systems. We realised Sir Rod Aldridge and also Sussex Cricket Foundation obviously could see the impact of COVID and everything like that was happening to people's mental health, and we wanted to be part of that, and Sussex wanted to make sure that we could help people. So with the work of Sir Rod Aldridge, Sussex Cricket Foundation and Frog Systems, we were able to put together a hub that was able to give people advice, also share some stories of people who've gone through mental health issues, whether that is through depression, anxiety, loneliness, losing people. Just the opportunity to actually hear other people's stories, but also be pointed in the right direction to get some support and some help if they needed. So I think we're the first ever sport to do this, and I think it's going to have a massive impact on people, and it's just going to help them so much.
Absolutely, yeah, definitely. I think it's fantastic, and hopefully other clubs will follow suit around the world, because I think it's much needed. And again, because of the pandemic, a lot more people are going to be looking for help, and I think sport is something that can definitely help people.
Yeah,
so if people want to go onto the hub, how do they find that?
So if you just go onto our Sussex website, so www.sussexcricket.co.uk, and you will see it on the front page, the mental health hub, and you click on there, and it will then send you onto the actual hub, and you can then go on to different stories, whether search for different things like whether it's anxiety, loneliness, or you can look for putting your postcode. It's not just Sussex, it's across the country, to look for some support and some help as well.
And is that something that's going to keep on growing? What plans have you got for the hub?
Yeah, so there's stories being added all the time from people. So obviously, if there's people who want to share their story, you can do, and it's an opportunity too. So it's just going to continue to grow and hopefully help support more people out there.
Excellent. Yeah. And yeah, I would say to anybody, it's a great hub, and well worth checking out for you or any family or friends who may be going through mental health issues at the moment. It's really important. slightly going on to, there's a new competition starting this year, which was postponed, the 100. For those people who don't know about that, can you explain what that is?
Yeah, so the 100 is a bit of a more shorter format to the T20. It's 100 balls. So it's trying to engage more families into cricket to come and watch, hopefully, if they can, if they're allowed to, with the government guidelines. But yeah, it's trying to engage more families to get involved in cricket, and the 100 balls are a very short format. And obviously it's going to have some great names from across the world playing in it.
Yeah, so in terms of Sussex women, are there any players from Sussex taking part?
Yeah, so we've got quite a few. So we've got Danny Wyatt, Georgia Elwes, Georgia Adams, Paige Schofield, Tara Norris. I'm sure I'm going to miss some people out. I can't remember. We've got quite a lot actually involved across the country. So yeah, so it'll be good to watch.
Ooh, excellent. Yeah, that will be, and that's going to be shown by the media as well, isn't it?
Yeah, so I think they will be showing that on BBC, if I'm right, if not Sky, but it will be shown. So it's a great opportunity to watch some cricket. It's like I say, it's short format, and there's going to be a lot of big hitting, and I reckon quite a few close games as well.
Definitely. That's one thing I wanted to ask about actually, because the games we've now got so many different formats. So we've got T20, we've got the longer formats as well, but now the 100, and I think I saw a game a few weeks ago, 10 over cricket, T10. Yeah. There must be, are there different skill sets that you need to be involved in those shorter formats?
I think the game's changed quite a bit. You're seeing a lot more players being bigger hitters, especially down the ground, and there's more sixes involved in the game, especially in women's cricket than there was when I was playing. And especially with the slightly smaller boundaries, which does help a bit, but actually you're seeing them being hit actually over the size of the men's full boundary. So I think the game is changing, and with the formats that especially the women have been playing over the last few years, the 50 over and the T20, I think it's just going to be natural for them to go straight into the hundreds, and it's going to be quite an easy transition.
And do you think that again, the women's game now being professional, that helps because you've got much more fitness programs, etc., and that sort of thing?
Oh, it's going to help massively, and they're going to get more training than they ever have. And I know, like with the regional cricket centres, so the Vipers, they train at the Aldridge Cricket Academy at the moment. The Sussex women would do probably one a month training session on a Sunday, whereas now they're training 3 or 4 times a week. So they're obviously getting their fitness, but also their cricket training. So the players are obviously going to get stronger, they're going to get better, and there's more opportunities to play cricket as a professional now, and I think that's going to help boost the game a lot more. Yeah,
definitely. Going back to the boundaries, that was one thing I've always noticed in the women's game, that they were quite far in, but like you say, more and more now sixes are being hit over the men's boundaries. Do you see that changing, that the boundaries will go back to more or less the men's boundaries?
I don't think it will just yet, because that's only been changed in the last couple of years. So I think that will stay for a few more years. But I think as the players get more training, more fitness, more strength conditioning, they're obviously going to get stronger and stronger. So in the next probably 5-10 years, that might change the boundaries.
Good. So yeah, I think last couple of questions really. During your time as Women and Girls Development Officer, and more recently, are there any up and coming names that you can tell us about that we can look out for in the future?
There's quite a lot of names. 2 I would keep an eye on are Ella McGacken and Freya Kemp. They're currently, Ella played in the Vipers last year. She opened a batting with Georgia Adams. She's a really good cricketer. She played football for Brighton and Hove Albion as well in the past. But she's going to be a real key batter for them, especially in the 50 over format. And then Freya Kemp, who I think's turning 16 this year, very quick left armer and left-handed batter. she's very strong, and those two I would say keep an eye out especially, but there's loads of girls I would say, but those two spring to mind at the moment.
Excellent. So obviously this year you've got a lot planned going through the summer. Hopefully that will be it for lockdowns, and we can all get back to normality. Is there a sort of a 5-year plan for Sussex women's cricket? Do you have set plans like that?
Yeah, so we have our Sussex strategy, and I'm actually at the moment currently writing a new one for women and girls specific cricket. So that's in the process, but there are a lot of big plans out there on how we obviously grow the game even more, how we sustain the cricket clubs we have. And obviously we have a lot in Sussex, in the more Brighton, mid Sussex region, up all the way up to probably up to where Crawley goes. We need to get a few more in the east and the west of the county. But there's also going to be some work on developing more localised leagues rather than having one big Sussex club league. And it's also working towards getting more female coaches within the county, as well as volunteers and people being more females involved in club committees. So there's a lot of planning, but a lot of excitement to come in the next 5 years, I would say.
Ooh, excellent. So yeah, thank you so much for joining me today. That was really, really interesting. Cricket's one of my favourite sports. Love the game. So it's really interesting to find out more about what Sussex Cricket are actually doing. So thank you so much for joining me, Charlotte.
Thank you.